NABJ helping those in need. Meet a family that NABJ leaders helped rebuild after Hurricane Katrina and the next service project that will help even more people.
What does it take to be a top restaurant in New Orleans? We'll introduce you to the cooks at a popular eatery that has folks lining up around the corner.
Are you a NABJ baby? Find out who is and how the term started out. NABJ News starts now.
Hello, I'm Donnie Holloway.
And I'm Alexis Wainwright.
It's not unusual for cities like New Orleans to host huge conventions.
New Orleans hosted the 2012 NABJ convention 7 years after Hurricane Katrina. The hurricane is long gone, but for many, the damage remains.
So during our 2012 convention, NABJ wanted to leave a lasting impression.
That was the house
Before Katrina, Angie Watts remembers.
I was in between my bed and my house without no floor, no air, no gas, no water, no toilet. I was using the gas station convenience store to go use the restroom every day.
Hard to believe this is the same home, restored for the Watts family after some stressful times.
We came back. There was no way to live, and you can see that is the way that we were living in the house. We flashlight, sometimes candles.
It was pretty bad. Like they had just stuff everywhere. Like the sofa was like in the kitchen, the hallway. Like the mirrors were down. It smelled really bad. It was just a bad experience. It was so bad.
Then help arrived in 2012. That's when NABJ leaders heard about the Wattses and 2 other families, then made a connection.
The San Bernard came in and thought of we're gonna be able to help you, with the help or the black journalists.
NABJ's goal that year raised $20,000 for those families. Instead, $60,000 poured in from concerned, caring people and corporations.
Oh, I was so happy. I'm pretty sure that I jumped out. Remember that I was jumping because it wasn't just for me, it was for my kid.
It happened at a time like this when humidity is at its worst. So imagine finally getting your AC turned back on.
Oh, and that AC hit, man, we were loving it. That was the best.
Welcome relief, made possible with the help of NABJ.
Come on, fight. Come on. Stay right there. Stay right here.
NABJ continues our annual service project with 3 more families this weekend. Reuters and NABJ have announced a new partnership for 2 new huge scholarship programs. The scholarship is open to all NABJ members applying to Columbia Graduate School of Journalism. The second opportunity is for members applying at the NYU Business and Economic Reporting Graduate Program.
And what makes us a little bit different from other scholarship programs is that the recipients will have some mentoring from us throughout their academic year. They'll be paired with a senior editor on staff in New York to touch base, be invited to attend editorial trainings alongside our regular staff.
The Reuters NABJ scholarship recipient will receive about $40,000 to help pay tuition. The scholarship program is for the 2018-2019 academic school year.
NABJ convention goers got the chance to hear what's in store for some very powerful workshops during this year's conference. Panelists for the workshops dropped some bombshells every journalist needs to hear. NABJ reporter Candace King is here to tell us about some of the hot topics.
Thanks, Donnie. The topics range from fake news to real-life challenges as a journalist in a business that's under fire, even at the White House.
And I actually thought about leaving, but then that day Sean Spicer happened. And I said, I'm not going anywhere because that's what they want me to do.
NABJ Journalist of the Year April Ryan talked about challenges she faces at work every day. Ryan covers the White House for American Urban Radio Network. During NABJ's Newsmaker plenary, Vox executive editor Lauren Williams also shared some of the same concerns.
Too much of the journalism they produce is so painfully close about race. or gender, or Islam, or LGBTQ issues. An organization that promotes diversity without being inclusive of the different backgrounds, styles, and voices that diversity brings to the table is missing a crucial component.
The lack of diversity is not only a concern in the newsroom, but also in the film industry. Cheryl Boone Isaacs talked about those concerns with panel moderator Byron Pitts.
We're asking for the opportunity to shine. Like Viola Davis said, it's all about the opportunity. Give us the opportunity and we're there, and we certainly proved it this year.
NABJ founder Les Payne believes despite tough times for some journalists, the challenges for journalists of color are bigger than ever.
You have to have people like April Ryan to tell that story, because white journalists take it as far as they can go, but they can't get there.
April Ryan also said staying firm in her convictions of who she is as a journalist is key to staying firm in this industry. Reporting for NABJ News, I'm Candace King.
Many journalists hope to transition from the newsroom to the film set. During the panel titled Transitions, Taking Your Journalist Skills to Hollywood, film and TV executives gave helpful tips to a packed room of aspiring screenwriters, producers, and directors. The expert panel included Chio Coker, a former music journalist turned executive producer of the TV show Southland Coker, advised participants to be very specific about what they want to do in Hollywood. The same rules for journalism also apply to the filmmaking world when it comes to headlines, interviews, and of course, writing. NABJ convention goers enjoy roaming through the career fair, but did you know that you can sit down for free coffee and chat with more than 20 potential employers in the Coffee and Careers Exhibition Hall Suite? Twilly Cottingham is from Huntsville, Alabama. She learned about the exhibition after arriving in New Orleans. It's a rare opportunity to grab a drink with representatives looking to talk to potential hires.
Okay, someone told me, oh, there's more career things on the third floor, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna check it out. And luckily I did, because NFL Network and NFL.com was here, and I'm a huge sports fan, so that was huge for me.
AT&T is one of the organizations taking part in Coffee and Careers, but instead of a drink of coffee, AT&T is offering an interactive opportunity for visitors to film their own commercial on the hit TV show Power. Marlene Legrone works in corporate events for AT&T. Although they are recruiting, stopping by their convention floor booth is worth your while.
We are here to showcase AT&T not as your typical telecommunications company any longer, but also as your entertainment.
Two big names in media are sharing the message about keeping it real in the journalism world.
That's right. Our NABJ reporter Penelope Blackwell tells us how convention goers got a chance to hear about what it takes to build a brand.
NABJ convention goers packed this room to hear from well-known veteran journalists Al Roker and David Wilson. The topics included social media analytics, producing content, and value proposition.
The first objective in any business is scale. Figure out how you build scale. You know, Facebook, I mean, all the big businesses do this. You know, Facebook, you know, I'm not sure. No. It's about scaling. Focus on scaling. And by the way, once you have scale, that's where your value is. Once you have an audience, that's what the value is, because someone else will come and say, well, okay, we can figure out how to, you know, this is worth investing in, right, because you have an audience.
According to Wilson, sizable impact will allow journalists to have more influence as they learn to increase their audience, while Roker sheds light on the purpose of growth and development within the forever-changing field of journalism.
You can say that you're doing the same thing today that you were a year ago, then you're not working correctly. You have to evolve. You should be doing something differently today than you did a year ago. Because that's, I'm constantly trying to think, you know, not just to my own company, but for my main job, which is the Today Show. If you look at our graphics, the way we present our graphics today, the way they were like just a year ago, they're different. I get excited about that. You know, you should be excited about every aspect of what you do as a journalist.
And that's a strategy that some of the biggest names in the business say can expand your own media empire. Reporting for NABJ News, I'm Penelope Blackwell.
You have until 5 p.m. Friday to cast your ballot in this year's NABJ election. Offices up for grabs include Vice President of Broadcast and Student Representative. Members got a chance to hear from the candidates at the forum Wednesday afternoon. The current VP, Dorothy Tucker, is facing off against current Region 3 Director Gail Hurd. NABJ student Kyra Azora and Lawrence Malloy are competing for office. Election results will be announced in the Jackson Ballroom at 6 p.m. The popular Press Hall Band brings the flavor and the soul to NABJ.
Hear from a member of the legendary band about what it means to keep the music rolling.
I'm here at Mother's in the New Orleans Business District. For the last 79 years, Mother's has been feeding everyone in New Orleans, from Beyonce to Michelle Obama. We're here to find out what it takes to be one of the best restaurants in a city that is known for incredible food.
Higgins started building boats in New Orleans in 1931. Throughout the war, Higgins built 20,094 boats. Everyone in New Orleans either worked at Higgins, a relative worked at Higgins, or they knew someone that worked at Higgins. What was done here affected the entire world. The Higgins boats changed the strategy of modern warfare. He gave them the ability for the first time to be able to move men and material from ships at sea to open beaches. No longer did the enemy know where you were going to attack. New Orleanians should be incredibly proud of what this city did during World War II. Because of Mr. Higgins, we saved probably hundreds and hundreds of thousands of lives by giving them the proper equipment to safely land on that beach.
This moment of New Orleans history is part of WDSU's Making 300, celebrating 300 years of our city's rich and unique culture, sponsored by the historic New Orleans Collection, preserving the history and culture of Louisiana for over 50 years.
Steve Harvey's taking suggestions for his new daytime show.
Shave the mustache. Really? More dancing. More celebrities. That's why I'm moving the show to Hollywood. Kangaroo boxing. Nope. Funny animal tricks. Steve on a trapeze. These feet don't leave the ground. Start taking a spinning class. Wow. I know I could use some spinning.
Coming this fall to WDSU.
Somebody scream! In New Orleans, there's nothing better than the classics like the Dewdrop Jazz Hall. World's oldest country jazz hall right here on the North Shore. When it comes to classic music, this is the place to be. And when it comes to classic TV, TV is my lifeline. You know it's MeTV New Orleans. Ain't no place like it. That piece I Simone.
Watch MeTV New Orleans over the air on 6.2, Cox 108, and Charter 185.
Turning now to the weather, it's been an off and on soggy day.
But convention goers are still enjoying the New Orleans scene. Justina Sharp is here with a look at the weather. Hi, Justina.
Hi, guys. High pressure in the Gulf is beginning to cause an onshore pressure. As you can see, it will be moving upwards. That means there's going to be a little bit of moisture in the air, and while it will make your skin glow, it will also make your hair grow. So I recommend holding on to that hairspray. Going now to our radar, you can see that there's not a lot of rain hanging around the metro area, but there is still some, so I would also hold on to your umbrellas. Checking out our forecast, tomorrow morning is going to be absolutely beautiful. And then as the day begins to heat up, those rain and storms will also come back. Here's a photo of City Park, and that ground is absolutely saturated, but the park is still beautiful. I've also been told you can pick up a pretty good cup of coffee there in the mornings, so maybe one or two of you will want to take a stroll. After the rain comes a rainbow, and here's one stretching over the skies of the city. Our overnight lows will drop into the mid to upper 70s, and then as the day goes on, they will begin to rise into the mid 80s to upper 90s. Don't forget about the Perseid meteor shower this weekend, and then make sure wherever you are, you're looking up into the skies.
Many NABJ convention goers will hit the popular New Orleans restaurant Mother's, and we want to take you behind the screenshot only to show you why it's a must visit, but also who's doing the cooking.
Mothers on Poydras Street first opened their doors in the 1930s. They have been feeding the community delicious soul food ever since. Their po' boys and biscuits inspire both tourists and locals to line up from the moment they open. It isn't easy to earn a reputation in a city put on the map by its food, but there's a secret to their success.
I want them to feel full.
It's prepared under the careful watch of head cook Roland Swayze. For him, the process is key to producing the best possible food.
We've been here since 1938. It's consistency, and we like to make people happy once they come and try our foods and make them want to come back.
Everything here is made from scratch and assembled right in front of your eyes. Part of the success of Mothers is having family in the kitchen. They can boast about having generations from several families cooking great food. Betty Hamilton has worked at Mothers for 28 years. Hamilton's aunt, an original cook for the restaurant, trained her and her sisters at home. She says everyone is invited in, especially when they need home the most.
We came here like 2 months after the storm, and they had nobody here doing a whole lot of cooking. When we came in, we had everybody. So Mothers was really home to everybody.
From a corner table in a crowded dining room in New Orleans, this is Justina Sharp for NABJ News.
So, Justina, what's been your favorite dish on the New Orleans list?
I have to say it's the cheesy shrimp and grits. It's like nothing I've ever had before.
So good. The Press Hall Brass Band of New Orleans has got it going on, bringing the soul of NOLA to NABJ. They stole the opening reception of the NABJ kickoff with their second line performance of native hits like When the Saints Go Marching In. 47-year-old Carrie Hunter is a snare drum player of the band, influenced by legendary jazz musicians like Heidi Ho, Man, Cab Calloway. Hunter says he had an early start in music. While Hunter maintains the beat in his set, he enjoys looking at the crowd's reactions to their sound.
It's spiritual because when people hear the music, no matter where you at, and your first time hearing it, majority of the time, everybody like, oh, I love this. I never heard this, but I really love it. And I'm seeing the faces on a lot of people that never been to New Orleans before.
Hunter grew up playing on boxes before upgrading to the real deal.
Next up, it's preseason time for the New Orleans Saints.
And the Who Dat Nations is ready to see their boys play. Sports anchor Chancellor Johnson has more on how the Black and Gold hopes to get things started on a winning note.
New Orleans' leader in breaking news is WDSU News.
Every morning brings new stories to our lives.
And new questions. Do I need the umbrella?
How are the highways? Is there a slowdown I should avoid?
WDSU News is live, local, late-breaking coverage that you can get anywhere, anytime.
Your day starts fast, so start it with a news team that's up to speed.
WDSU News This Morning, weekdays starting at 4:30, followed by the Today Show.
When I think of jazz, I think of New Orleans. When I think of New Orleans, I think of jazz, and I think everybody does. There are a lot of different locations where the roots of jazz started, one of which is Congo Square. People would get together and play drums and dance and sing and play music. The tipping point for when jazz starts is right after Plessy versus Ferguson in 1896, because that decision meant that the African Creoles, who played a kind of light European-oriented classical music, were forced to compete for jobs with the African-American former slaves who were playing kind of more raggy, blues-oriented music. And when you combine those two, that's basically what becomes jazz. You can't understand New Orleans and you can't understand America in general unless you understand jazz.
This moment in New Orleans history is part of WDSU's Making 300, celebrating 300 years of our city's rich and unique culture. Sponsored by Xavier University of Louisiana, helping students leave ready since 1925.
6 minutes may not seem like a lot of time.
But when severe storms threaten, every minute counts.
Here at WDSU, our radar gets you the information you need 6 minutes earlier.
So if a tornado is developing, I can tell you about it that much faster.
It's time you can use to get your family to a safe place.
So during severe weather, you can count on our team to get you fast, accurate information on air, online, and on your phone.
The WDSU Weather Team. Live, local, late breaking.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Chancellor Johnson. Every year, ESPN partners with the NABJ to host a Mentors Breakfast, complete with a panel, an award ceremony, and more. It's great food, a great time, and even an appearance from Robin Roberts. The ESPN Mentor Breakfast featured some of the biggest names in the industry, along with some of the brightest young journalists in the nation. Hosted by Elle Duncan and Michael Levies, aspiring journalists had a chance to sit and network with some of the most respected reporters in sports. Good Morning America anchor Robin Roberts spoke to the crowd this morning and gave some inspiration to the many journalists that want to follow in her footsteps.
She has so many words of wisdom that we could have even picked up from her books or stuff, but she had those anecdotal moments where she brought people onto the stage, gave out hugs and everything like that. So for me, it was just eye-opening just how personable she is and how many lives she has affected.
Theo Dorsey was recently promoted to sports director in Albany, Georgia, so congratulations to Theo. Now to football. In less than an hour, the Saints will try to snap their 9-game preseason losing streak. The Black and Gold are in Cleveland playing the Browns tonight. Kickoff is at 7 o'clock. And while the preseason doesn't count, it's still kind of embarrassing that Sean Payton's team hasn't won an exhibition game since 2014. And fans in New Orleans will have to wait to see new running back Adrian Peterson in action. He's not playing tonight, neither are Drew Brees or Mark Ingram. That said, the Who Dat Nation will definitely need to have rosters handy watching this game because it's going to be a deep dive down the depth chart, which is something Drew Brees says he's okay with.
There was a time where, when we were earlier in the program here that, obviously we were more to the script of the traditional first preseason game, a quarter, second preseason game, 2 quarters, so on and so forth. But I think as we've gone along here, you just have to pay attention to your roster and the veteran guys and who you want to give rest to, who you want to see more from, who you want to get more reps and that kind of thing.
Let's talk college football now. Are you ready for the upcoming season, LSU fans? Or should I say comrades? Because the Tigers have closed all practices to fans and media. So the only reports we're getting are from school officials. It's like a state-run TV. So here's what you need to know. Coach O is the best coach in the country, stronger and smarter than anyone. And Darius Geis, yeah, he's better than Leonard Fournette. Okay, maybe not, but in all seriousness, even though no one has laid eyes on the Tigers, we are allowed to talk to players, and one guy they're excited about is senior quarterback Danny Etling, who was 100% after all-season back surgery.
Everything he does is a lot better. I mean, if you go out and watch, well, y'all can't, but if you can go out and watch practice, you'll see that he looks and moves a lot better than normal. And every day he says how well his back feels and this and that. And, like I said, if y'all can watch it, I'll see that. So I can't really say much about it. You'll just have to, watch it to know the difference.
Now to the Pelicans and the team's recruiting coordinator. DeMarcus Cousins has bought in big time and is lobbying star players to join he and Anthony Davis in the Big Easy. One guy Boogie has targeted his NBA mentor, 10-time All-Star Carmelo Anthony. And while it's amazing to fantasize about Boogie, the Brow, and Melo, second lining down the court in the Smoothie King Center as a power trio, the likelihood of this trade between the Pels and Knicks isn't realistic. While Carmelo will probably get traded because his relationship with the Knicks is broken beyond repair, he has a no-trade clause, and the New York Post reports that he won't waive it to come to New Orleans. And Donnie, when you say New Orleans Saints, you gotta say, who dat?
Now I know it's who dat.
Who dat nation?
Right.
Yes,
right.
sir.
Thanks so much, Chance. The student projects have been working hard this week to follow breaking news.
Seriously?
New Orleans' leader in breaking news is WDSU News.
Every morning brings new stories to our lives.
And new questions. Do I need the umbrella?
How are the highways? Is there a slowdown I should avoid?
WDSU News is live, local, late-breaking coverage that you can get anywhere, anytime.
Your day starts fast, so start it with a news team that's up to speed.
WDSU News This Morning, weekdays starting at 4:30, followed by the Today Show.
Let's see. Bottled water, batteries, the WDSU Hurricane Central app. Check.
Are you ready for hurricane season? For real-time tracking of the storms, download the free WDSU Hurricane Central app. Sponsored by Rouse's Markets. You're either local or you're not.
Higgins started building boats in New Orleans in 1931. Throughout the war, Higgins built 20,094 boats. Everyone in New Orleans either worked at Higgins, a relative worked at Higgins, or they knew someone that worked at Higgins. What was done here affected the entire world. The Higgins boats changed the strategy of modern warfare. He gave them the ability for the first time to be able to move men and material from ships at sea to open beaches. No longer did the enemy know where you were going to attack. New Orleanians should be incredibly proud of what this city did during World War II. Because of Mr. Higgins, we saved probably hundreds and hundreds of thousands of lives by giving them the proper equipment to safely land on that beach.
This moment of New Orleans history is part of WDSU's Making 300, celebrating 300 years of our city's rich and unique culture. Sponsored by the historic New Orleans Collection, preserving the history and culture of Louisiana for over 50 years.
And as Donnie was saying before the break, the student projects have been working hard this week following breaking news around the convention center in the city of New Orleans.
This is a copy of the Monitor, hot off the press, published by NABJ Seed Program Print students.
So the NABJ Monitor is the newspaper that the Student Projects is producing. We have 3 editions coming out over the course of the NABJ convention. We also have an online platform. It's called nabjmonitor.com.
You can find the NABJ Monitor outside the Career Fair, near the Registration Center, and other locations around the Hilton Hotel.
Most of us have heard the term each one teach one, and the National Association of Black Journalists takes it to heart.
So much so, even longtime journalists who took part in the Student Education Enrichment and Development Program years ago are affectionately called NABJ babies. You've probably heard the term
NABJ baby. NABJ baby.
NABJ baby.
But what does it really mean to be an NABJ baby? We went to the experts. Veteran journalist Bené Wilson, affectionately known as Aunt Bené, has mentored many NABJ babies over the years.
I take the term to mean anyone that I know that is a student or a young journalist, and some of my journalists are kind of getting into middle age, but they're still my babies.
It means a whole lot to me because you learn a lot through NABJ. I got my mentor through NABJ.
This is the 42nd year for the NABJ Career Fair, where young journalism hopefuls look for their first job. More importantly, the national conference is also where many of them worked to hone their craft. It doesn't matter how old you get, once an NABJ baby, always an NABJ baby. Whether you're attending the career fair or workshops, it's likely that you'll see NABJ babies everywhere. But being an NABJ baby is not all work and no play. Andrew Nomura is an NABJ baby who is a reporter in Jackson, Mississippi.
When, the career fair is done, and you're out there in the lobby or you're at a party with your guys that you grew up with the business, or you see your mentors from a short course or people from throughout the business that you look up to, that's probably the most fun.
Aunt Bené offers this advice to future NABJ babies.
This is a professional business. You have a professional image. You're going to be interviewing movers and shakers all week, and you have to look like the job that you want.
And that's some good advice from someone who you might call one of the mothers of many NABJ babies. For the record, I can say personally, becoming an NABJ baby is not easy.
That's right. Students selected to participate in the SEED program compete with hundreds of applicants.
We do. We're also lucky to be here. We're all part of this NABJ baby family now. Thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Have a good night. I'm Alexis Wainwright.